Welcome to my channel, where your adventure into the future starts right now. Step into a vibrant universe filled with groundbreaking technology, breathtaking alien landscapes, and exhilarating sci-fi narratives that challenge your imagination. From daring explorations of distant galaxies to haunting journeys through dystopian societies, we uncover the most captivating stories and innovative ideas that will shape the world of tomorrow. Subscribe today and join us on an incredible intergalactic voyage that promises to inspire and thrill. In the sprawling depths of the galaxy, where civilizations stretched across countless star systems, each species carried the weight of its own history, its own wounds. Some civilizations were old, their scars etched in the memory of their people, passed down through millennia. Others were young, their histories marked by the chaos and challenges of survival. Yet, no matter how advanced a species became, the trauma of their experiences, their losses, and their struggles remained. It was something fundamental to sentient beings, a universal experience that transcended biology, culture, and even the fabric of space-time itself. It was a silent companion, sometimes forgotten, but always present, lingering beneath the surface of their societies. In this vast cosmos, where knowledge, art, and technology flowed freely between species, there was one thing no civilization had yet mastered: healing the psychological scars of the soul. Humanity, having overcome centuries of war, plague, and societal collapse, had come to understand the deep and lasting impact of trauma. Their own history was a tapestry of suffering and recovery, from the brutality of internal conflicts to the pain of environmental destruction, from the ravages of disease to the agony of personal loss. But over time, humans had developed ways to cope with their emotional and psychological scars, ways to heal the brokenness within. The discovery of therapy was, in a sense, humanity's gift to themselves, but it was only with the advent of virtual reality technology that they could truly begin to offer this gift to the universe. The concept of virtual reality was not new. Many species had already developed forms of immersive simulation for entertainment, training, and research. The ability to create artificial environments, to simulate alternate realities and experiences, was a technological marvel that had fascinated countless civilizations. But the true potential of virtual reality was realized only when humanity, in the wake of its own social and scientific breakthroughs, began to understand that these simulated worlds could serve a higher purpose, not merely as a tool for escape or entertainment, but as a means of healing. It all started when humanity, in its search for more effective forms of mental health care, began to experiment with using virtual reality to help individuals face and overcome their deepest fears, traumas, and unresolved emotional conflicts. For centuries, therapists had used traditional methods: talk therapy, cognitive behavioral techniques, and pharmacological interventions, but these approaches had their limitations. They required a level of self-awareness and self-acceptance that not all patients possessed. And in many cases, they failed to reach those who had suffered the most profound emotional wounds, be it from war, loss, or other deeply traumatic experiences. The breakthrough came when human scientists and psychologists, collaborating with technology experts, developed a revolutionary new form of virtual therapy. This wasn't a mere tool for distraction or simulation, it was a therapeutic experience designed to immerse the individual in a world where they could confront and process their trauma directly. In these virtual worlds, patients could relive their experiences in a controlled and safe environment, allowing them to face their fears without the danger of re-injury. More than that, they could change the course of their past experiences, rewrite the emotional narratives that had once held them in thrall. The key innovation behind this virtual therapy was its ability to engage the subconscious mind, using the immersive nature of virtual reality to bypass the traditional defenses that the conscious mind put up against painful memories. By simulating environments, scenarios, and situations, therapists could guide their patients through what might have been impossible confrontations in real life. Whether it was the trauma of witnessing a loved one's death, the horrors of war, or the lingering effects of childhood abuse, the virtual world could offer a form of catharsis, a chance to process and heal in ways that traditional methods could not achieve. Humanity's first virtual reality therapy program was called Pathways, and its success was nothing short of astounding. Patients who had been unable to speak about their trauma, let alone confront it, found themselves able to walk through their most painful memories with a sense of agency. They could change the outcome of traumatic events in real time, giving them a sense of power over their past. The process was not about erasing the past, but about giving individuals the tools to rewrite their emotional responses, to redefine their relationships with the pain they had endured. Through guided therapeutic sessions, they could relive their worst memories and confront them, but with the safety of knowing that they could step away at any time. They were no longer victims of their trauma, they were participants in their healing. The success of the Pathways program on Earth soon spread across the galaxy. The news of this groundbreaking therapy reached other civilization species who had suffered their own traumas, but had no means of addressing the deep psychological scars that lingered in their societies. The first to show interest were the Alturians, a race of highly empathetic beings who, despite their deep emotional awareness, struggled with the collective trauma of their past. The Alturians had endured a devastating war centuries ago, one that had left their species emotionally fractured and torn apart. Their society had healed physically, but the emotional scars ran deep. Many Alturians carried within them the collective grief of their species, an emotional burden that had been passed down from generation to generation. For the Alturians, the idea of confronting their past traumas through virtual reality therapy was revolutionary. While they had long relied on their strong emotional connections to help each other process grief, they had no formal system to help individuals deal with more complex, personal trauma. Alturian culture was one built around communal support and shared emotional experiences, but individual healing was a far more elusive goal. The prospect of using virtual reality to help Alturians confront their pain in a controlled, personal space seemed like the answer to a problem that had plagued their species for generations. When the first Alturian therapist began using Pathways with a select group of patients, the results were immediate and profound. The therapy allowed them to navigate the emotional chaos that had haunted their species for centuries, offering a sense of closure that they had never experienced before. Those who had lived through the horrors of war could now confront their fear and anger in a safe space, free from the judgment of their community. And for the first time, the Alturians began to realize that they did not have to carry the emotional weight of their species' history forever. They could heal, not as a collective, but as individuals, and by doing so, they could ultimately strengthen their society. As news of the Alturian success spread, other species came forward, eager to learn from humanity's discovery. The Tsar, an insectoid species with a highly structured, hive-like society, approached the humans with a request. Their species had endured devastating losses during a massive civil war, and though their hive mind allowed for collective memory and understanding, many individuals within their society struggled to process their personal losses. The Tsar were not used to thinking in individual terms, but rather as part of a larger collective consciousness. The concept of individual trauma, and the notion that one might heal emotionally without the direct involvement of the collective, was an alien idea to them. However, as their contact with humanity deepened, the Tsar began to see the potential of virtual reality therapy. They were fascinated by the idea that healing could be a personal journey, one that didn't necessarily require the hive to intervene. Some Tsar struggled with the notion of being separate from their hive, but they recognized the value of personal healing. In time, the Tsar integrated virtual reality therapy into their society, allowing individuals to confront personal trauma while still remaining connected to the collective. What began as a simple idea on Earth, designed to address the deep emotional wounds within humanity, quickly became a galaxy-wide movement. Species as diverse as the Eryxians, a race of telepathic beings with the ability to manipulate energy, to the Alata, a species of quadrupedal creatures known for their meticulous construction of complex, multi-tiered societies, found their own ways of adapting the human-created therapy to their needs. The Alata, who had once struggled with hierarchical tensions and territorial disputes, began to use virtual reality therapy to navigate interpersonal trauma that arose from their intensely structured social systems. The Eryxians, for their part, found that their telepathic abilities could amplify the effects of virtual therapy, allowing them to heal not just themselves, but to help others heal through the exchange of empathic energy. The true scope of this therapeutic revolution, however, was revealed when entire galactic councils began to adopt virtual reality therapy as a standard practice for diplomacy. As species across the galaxy came together to form trade agreements, peace accords, and alliances, the healing potential of virtual reality began to be realized in new ways. Galactic leaders who had once been in conflict with one another began to use the therapy to understand the deep-rooted fears and traumas that had led to their animosities. Virtual reality allowed them to experience, firsthand, the pain of others without the need for violence or aggression. The act of empathy, fostered through shared experiences in virtual environments, became the foundation of new interspecies cooperation. The most profound impact, however, came when entire societies began to integrate virtual reality therapy into their daily lives. On Earth, the therapy had become a normal part of life for people recovering from the traumas of war, disaster, and personal loss. It was no longer a niche service for the few, but a widespread practice, deeply embedded into the cultural fabric of humanity. And as humans spread throughout the galaxy, they introduced this idea to the worlds they encountered, planting the seeds of a universal healing practice. The galaxy was a vast place, filled with beauty and wonder, but also with pain. Yet in the hearts of its countless species, there was hope. Through the gift of virtual reality therapy, humanity had given the galaxy a tool for healing that transcended biology, history, and culture. It was not just a technology, it was a bridge, a way to connect across the deepest divides, to understand one another in the most intimate of ways. In the end, it was not technology that healed the galaxy, it was the willingness to listen, to feel, and to empathize. And humanity, in its wisdom, had introduced the most powerful tool of all, the power to heal.